My name is Palash Bosgang. I work at Bard College, and I will be presenting a short use case on solving a digital preservation mystery using AI as a troubleshooting partner. So a little background about me. I've been working at Bard at the Stevenson Library for roughly 600 years. And I've been in different roles there. I worked in serials for a long time and then resource sharing. And then in 2021, I joined the Archives and Special Collections Department with the lovely and talented Helene Teeger in the back row. And then in 2024, I became the Digital Preservation Manager, just add water. And I was charged, amongst other things, with developing workflows for long-term access and stability to our archival digital assets. And to that end, I partnered with Southeastern's excellent digital dark archive service for distributed preservation storage. So the digital preservation workflows began. The goal was to safely package and transfer all of our archival data, all of our assets, our AV materials, our image files. They were all sitting on just shared Google Drives, institutional drives, one place, right? So lots of copies keep stuff safe. So the goal of this was to replicate all of those holdings and send them safely to the digital dark archive. Also, through grant funding, I was able to get a giant hard drive, a WD MyBook Duo, which will be known as Harry the Hard Drive. Thank you. That was the first one, ladies and gentlemen. Harry the Hard Drive. So I was creating a tertiary source for all of our assets as well. So a lot of times it's when you're transferring lots of data that you start losing data, that you get file corruption. So in order to transfer it safely, I utilized a small piece of software developed by the Library of Congress called Bagger. And that bags your data. So I was creating bags of data. And just as if you created a bag of something, maybe you would create a packing list. It does that. It creates a manifest of everything in that bag. And it also, to each file in that bag, it gives a checksum, which is a unique digital thumbprint of your file. So it's a hash. It's 164 or 256 characters, but it's unique. And it files that file. So that way, when I sent all of this data to Zach here was able to pull it in and verify all of that data, assuring something called fixity, which just means the file that he received is the file that I sent. So I did the same thing on Harry on my local drive. And then it was time. I did all of that. Yay. Congratulations. Amazing. And so then I'm like, okay, I have to validate all this data. That's the easy part. No problem. I just pull it into Bagger, I validate, and it didn't work. So what actually happened? The hard drive didn't even appear in the interface, or it appeared, but it refused to open. Validation was impossible, and I looked a little bit like that. Oh, that's my last slide. You're missing my sad face. Oh, where's the popsicle stick? Anyway, I had a very sad face. So this problem was compounded that I was missing IT support. We had downsizing that summer. So the person that worked with me to set up all of this software no longer was working with me. So I was all by myself. It was really rough. So I had to do it. What does one do? I Googled the problem. I went to Reddit. I looked at technical forums, listservs. I encountered some information, but nothing really actionable, nothing that was fixing this problem. Oh, that was Harry, glamour shot. So at that point, I was ready to turn to AI, but a little bit cautiously. I work in academia. There's a lot of skepticism about AI, and there are concerns too, environmental concerns, all of the above. But I was out of options, so I opened up chat and I put in system details, symptoms, what I was trying to do before, troubleshooting steps, and the outcome was a 28-page conversation with AI with actually very clear, structured, and actionable guidance. So it's going to get a little granular. This is the boring part, but I think it's kind of interesting how it unpacked the problem. So the first clue that I got was Java's odd file chooser. So AI gave me an explanation that this software I was using from the Library of Congress, Bagger, relies on a Java-based file picker. So Java is just widely used coding language. Java doesn't use the standard Mac operating system, the Finder, that little face for those of us who work on Macs. So that's the default management file application for Mac. So the correct path that AI gave me was /volumes, /drive names. This actually helped, and you can see there it was finding Harry, but it still was super wonky. Some folders opened, some didn't. I put this information back into AI. AI gave me a question. What is the file system format of the external hard drive? After checking the disk utility, it came back with NTFS. I plug that in, and AI's immediate insight was that Mac operating systems can read NTFS, but Java apps can't reliably navigate NTFS. Directory structures appear, they disappear, permissions don't map cleanly, and validation becomes unstable. So bingo, that was the answer. It wasn't user error, it wasn't bagger, it was the file system. And on the bottom, you can see kind of where AI is telling me it's not you. And I started to really understand why people fall in love with their chatbots, because I was like, thank you so much. Anyway, so it was a moment of validation, and AI gave me practical solutions, actually. Install Paragon NTFS software for Mac. It's a utility that enables Mac operating systems to fully read and write to a Windows formatted NTFS drive. And here's the crux of the problem. In 2024, when I got Harry, I was working on a really, really old PC because we were using some other software to transfer Cloudberry MS360, because we were transferring so much data directly to the AWS staging server from Southeastern. And so Harry was formatted that way. A year and a half. Do you remember how you formatted your hard drive? I don't, So anyway, so it's the age-old problem, Mac. And then we had two more robust workstations, which we transferred to. I had Bagger on those as well, but Harry was the problem. So after trial and installation, every folder became visible, directory traversal worked, and even a previously failing bag that I couldn't validate on the ancient PC validated fine in the new on the Mac. So takeaways from a long day spent with chat, other than really I had a migraine, it was intense, but AI doesn't need to replace technical expertise to be useful. Instead, it can just act as a really knowledgeable assistant. And I think for library staff that are working really on the back end, under the hood, we're not IT specialists, but we are doing a lot of sometimes complex technical activities like digital preservation. I think it can help library staff ask better questions, narrow down possible causes, and identify next steps, practical next steps when faced with unfamiliar or time-sensitive technical problems. My last slide is a shameless plug for the next Southeastern digital preservation workshops led by the Jen back there. Oh, yeah, and me. Love your data. If you or someone you love has an aging hard drive somewhere gathering dust, let them know that this is the place to come. This is really an interactive, low-pressure co-working session. The first session is just know your data. You don't have to know anything about digital preservation, but if you know that you have valuable organizational assets, even just sitting on your computer, this is for you. We're going to come together. We're going to talk about it. We want to hear what you have. We want to hear how you're storing it. And we're hoping to create a community of practice around digital stewardship in the Hudson Valley. And you're all welcome to join us.